Hey folks, it's Fridgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Boulder Canyon here on Farming Simulator 19. We're going to carry on doing our mowing today and just finish up all of these little patches of mowing that are left on the ends of the fields. Then go and rake them up, and then we'll run over them with the baler once we're done with all of that. The baler is still running up and down that field over there, and it is doing a great job. I'm hoping today that we will finish mowing and baling. That is the general idea. That is the plan. But as always, my carefully laid master plans usually don't really work out all that well, do they? Right, that sign there is the only sign that actually exists in the game. All the others are just phantom signs. They don't do anything, and so the tractors just drive right through them. I suppose it's not a bad thing, actually, because the signs do sort of... They're a little bit of a nuisance. They get in the way of things, and they cause the odd problem. So if we can just deal with them like that, it's a lot easier. It's a lot simpler, isn't it? So we'll do this little patch here. There's a little patch to do over on the other field around the rock up near the top. Except I'm thinking I'm not actually going to bother with that. Because it's such a small quantity of grass, I don't think it's worth worrying about. We've got the bits to do down here, and I think we'll just call it quits with that. So if I take this one here... Oops, steady. If I take this one here, then do this little bit. We'll run back, get the mower, there, I'll lift that one up like that, and then unfold it. We'll run back and we'll get the rake on the tractor now, and we'll go around and we'll rake up the bits that we've done. Then, by the time we finish doing that, that tractor over there should have just about finished doing all of the baling over, the mowing and the baling over on that field. And then that'll be it. We won't have anything else to do. And I will clean this mower off. I was just thinking maybe I won't bother, but I think I will. I will clean it off. So I'll bring you up to here, like this, and like that. I know I could go up and, you know, we'd get a little bit more grass, but because of the fact that we've hardly got any yield on that field over there, I'm not too concerned about it. We're not going to get another bale out of it. I doubt we'd even get half a bale out of it. So I just don't think it's worth the bother of going all the way up there and getting one more done. Let's just have a look over here. How are we doing with this? We've got that one there full, and we got that one there full. This one is 7,200, and this one is 7,900, and the ones in the middle are nearly empty. So we're gonna have 4 pallets of wool before too long. 4 full pallets, which once we we sell when we get above 1,000 per litre, above 1,000 per 1,000 litres. And 1,000 per 1,000 litres, obviously that makes... Oops, no, don't do that. We've got to, unfortunately, we can't lower it down. You just got to dump it like that. I really hate that you got to just dump it like that. It really does bug me. Yeah, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, with the 1,000 per 1,000 litres, that means with 4 full pallets, there's another 40 grand that we can add into the kitty, which is absolutely great. We've got all of that timber there that we're waiting to sell as well. So there's another big pile of money that we're going to get. And I'll open that one out and lower it down. There we go, and down you go. Right. A quick run up through here, and that should gather up all of that grass into a nice, easy, tidy windrow. Pick that up there, and I'll lift it up and then come over this side. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to go over to the outside of it. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to back up round there, and then turn again. And I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to do it like that. There, neat and tidy. Although, going back like that, I've now gone and stuck the windrow right back in under the trees, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to go and get. That wasn't quite part of the master plan. It was supposed to all work really well. The bit I don't like is this does not turn the corner very well, but then I've mentioned that previously. I may have complained about that once or twice in the past. It's, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good. that you can't sort of turn everything really, really sharp, but at the same time, this one should be able to turn sharper than that. It's being held out on the back over there. It should definitely be able to turn sharper than that, right? You can turn it round on itself. I mean, it does it, I suspect, because otherwise the game sort of messes up a little bit with where it's putting the grass for the windrow, and it doesn't particularly like it. So that's my assumption. I am making an assumption. Should never make assumptions, but I am doing it anyway. Don't do what I say, do what I do, ladies and gentlemen. That's probably the soundest advice that I can ever give you, is don't do what I say. Don't do what I do what I say. Don't do what I do what I say. Yeah. Although, probably, to be fair, you would be better off not doing what I say either. Right? If I do or say it, you're probably better off avoiding that like the plague. That's probably the safest course of action for just about everything in life. If Frithgard does it or says that it's good, best just to avoid it. Yes, then nothing bad can happen. Nothing can possibly go wrong if you avoid at all costs anything that Frithgard does or says. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who would agree with that sentiment. Right. We'll carry on down through here. This shouldn't take all that long, actually, just to rake this up. I want a bigger rake. That's what I want now. I'm getting fed up with this rake. I don't like the fact that you can't turn very sharp corners with this rake. And quite frankly, I've just about had enough of it. So I would like to get a new rake. That's one thing I would like. And with all the money that we're getting, and the fact that we're getting the smallest combine in the game to start off with, I think a new rake is definitely in order, because I know that the rotating rake that I would like isn't all that much bigger than this one, and it's pretty much the same size. You have a look in here, windrow is right there. That one there is 8.5 meters. This is what I'm thinking of. It's 9.3, so we've only got 0.8 of a meter wider. I mean, yeah, it's nearly a meter, and that's good. We wouldn't be getting that one. Much as I'd like to, we're not getting that one. It's going to be this one here. And, yeah, it's absolutely great. I mean, that one, oh, that's only 6 meters. Very big. 8.2 over there. So, yeah, 9.3 meters. I mean, that's an ideal rake. You can turn much sharper corners with this one than you can with this one. You can turn right back on yourself without damaging anything, without skewing anything sideways, anything like that. It's just going to be altogether better. And with the combine that we're going to be using, the main reason, and also when you start, I need to lower that one down. When you start a row, it doesn't throw it back behind the vehicle quite so far, right? Not anywhere near as far as that. It does chuck it back a little bit, but nowhere near as far as what this one does. Yeah, with that combine that we're going to be using, we're definitely going to want to be doing a few runs up and down the field after we've done our combining with a rake, so that we can just tidy things up a bit. And it's going to make it a lot easier for us when we come to doing the baling and everything, if we can go over it first with a rake, and we can gather up all of the straw into some bigger windrows. Because what's going to be left behind by the combine is not going to be very big windrow at all. In fact, it's going to be rather small and not much cop. Yeah, if we just stick with those, we're going to be there for a very long time doing the raking. Doing the baling, sorry. We're going up and down the field. It is going to take a very long time to do it all properly. So, rather than having that, I'd like to be able to run up and down the field with a reasonable rake. And, I mean, I think that with the 9.3 meter one, all we'll end up doing is putting 2 rows into one. So, you're not really saving a massive amount of time just putting 2 rows into one. But it's better than nothing. It is definitely better than nothing, and if we get it right, we can set the hired help doing that, which means that we're not going to have to run up and down the fields ourselves, which is just going to make our lives a little tiny bit easier. Come over to here, and this is where it starts to get a bit messy with, well, I could do it how you would normally do it, where you leave the end of the row and then go back and do that afterwards, which is what I think I am going to do. I know I'm turning too sharp on the corner. I make no apologies for that. I'm like I said, I'm getting fed up with having to use this rake all the time anyway. So I make no apologies for turning sharp on the corner, because I want to be able to turn sharp on the corner. That's why I want the new rake, so that I can turn sharp on the corner. I'll be able to just turn round, go back on myself, instead of having to go out and, you know, if you can do it properly, you have to go out, you have to shunt around, you have to go back, you have to shunt around, you have to go out, shunt around, go back, and you get the idea. There's a lot of moving up and down and shunting about, and I don't really want to keep doing that. You know, there's only so much shunting about that I want to do at the end of each row. I don't mind doing a little bit, but it does start to get a little bit tedious, especially with this one, because it doesn't turn properly, right? It doesn't. Even when you're reversing it, it doesn't sort of seem to. The flow of the turn doesn't seem quite right. It just seems like it's off somehow. I can't quite explain it, but when you're trying to reverse with it, it definitely feels like it's a little bit off. Now, one mistake a lot of people do make when they're reversing something with wheels in the middle is they're looking at the back, and they're using that as their judge of where and when to turn the wheels. You shouldn't be doing that. You should keep an eye on the point where the wheels are and use that as your visual reference, and you will find it a lot easier to reverse anything with wheels more towards the middle of the vehicle. And I used to have this problem all the time. I'd be oversteering quite a bit, and one day somebody was watching me that I worked for. This was back when I was a teenager, so I'd not all that much experience with driving by that point. And he could see exactly what I was doing. He knew exactly what I was doing immediately, and he came over and he said, "Look, I can see what you're doing. You're watching the back of the trailer." I said, "Yeah, because so that I could to reverse it." So it seemed like an odd thing for him to say. Come over and say, "You're watching the back of the trailer." Well, yeah, I'm trying to reverse the trailer, hence I'm watching the back of the trailer because I need to see where it's going. He said, "Don't watch the back of the trailer. That's why you're finding it difficult." He said, "You know, you do need to keep an eye on where the back of the trailer is going." Okay, so he wasn't saying, like, don't pay attention to it at all, but he said, "Don't watch the back of the trailer. Watch the point on the trailer where the wheels are, and use that, and just keep, that's got to be your focus, is where the wheels are. Look at the point above the trailer where the wheels are," because it was just a flatbed trailer. He said, "Watch where the wheels are, and you'll find it a lot easier." So I did that. I watched where the wheels were on the trailer rather than looking at the back of the trailer, and my goodness me, didn't that make a difference? It's like, it's one of those little tips that if you've not done any driving, it would make no difference to you whatsoever. It would make no difference and probably make no sense either. And if you're an experienced driver, you're probably already doing that. You may or may not have had somebody actually tell you. I mean, eventually most people would figure that out for themselves, but I just happened to have someone there when I was young and relatively inexperienced. He came along and he said, "Just focus on that point. It will make your life a little bit easier when you're trying to reverse your trailers." And it was honestly, it was like someone had come along and just suddenly shown me how to see or something. I don't know. It was absolutely amazing. I did this just the once, and we've missed a little bit of grass there. Right there, there's a little bit of grass seed right there that needed there. See, right under here. It's right under me. You can't go over there and see it, but I can see it from here. We're going to have to do something about it. Well, this field here is actually going to be ploughed up, isn't it? This is going to be cultivated back up eventually and turned into a different field. So it's going to be arable crops in here, so we don't need to worry about that. But yeah, it was like, it's one of those moments when you're learning new jobs, new tasks, new anything. Every now and then you'll get one of those sort of, I call them like a click moment, where things just click into place. You're going along and you see it, and then suddenly something just snaps into place. It's just one of those eureka moments. And suddenly everything becomes clear, and it really makes sense in a way that it didn't before. And that's what that was for me. That was definitely a eureka moment. This guy is coming along and saying, watch the point on the trailer where the wheels are. Not the back of the trailer. The point where the wheels are. Because it was a tandem axle trailer, and the wheels were right in the middle. Well, not right in the middle, but sort of 2/3 of the way back. And It was amazing. It's one of those things where it's just like you wouldn't have thought that something like that could have such an impact, but I mean, it really did. It was genuinely awesome. I mean, there are times, especially in this game, where I forget to focus on the wheels and I focus on the back of the vehicle instead, and then it all goes a little bit wrong. Doesn't quite work properly. And then you sort of very quickly realize what you're doing. Oh, yeah, I was focusing on the back of the vehicle instead of where the actual wheels are. And that's where I went wrong. And it's just one of those things. You instantly recognize that you're doing it. But to start with, that first moment when it first happens and you realize, actually, yeah, that's what it is. It was so incredible. I never forget that. And I really like those kind of eureka moments anyways. I've always been one that really likes, it's like just this veil gets dropped in front of your eyes. And I know some people do struggle with it because they suddenly realize, oh, I've been doing it wrong all this time. And well, no, you haven't. You've been learning how to do it. And that's one thing that I know that people with anxiety, this is a big thing with anxiety. Okay, so if somebody says to you that they've got anxiety, don't make assumptions, and just, well, you can make some assumptions. You can assume that everything they do and say and that you see is considerably more difficult for them than what it was for you if you don't have anxiety. And this is actually quite a big thing. It's the problem with anxiety is you overthink. Now, everybody gets a little bit of anxiety. Everybody does they overthink things. They think, well, that's not supposed to happen. Things happen, and you think about them a little bit too much, and that's about it, really. That's all that's really going to happen with your anxiety, okay? Something's going to happen, and you're going to spend ages thinking about it. There it is. That's your anxiety. Now, for somebody that actually suffers from anxiety, something will happen, and they won't just think about it. They will overthink it. They will think about it and think about it and think about it. And not just keep thinking about it, but they will also beat themselves up over it. Really, beat themselves over the head with it a lot. They will convince themselves that it's wrong, or that everybody else thinks that they're idiots for what they're doing, and so on and so forth. And it's a really big thing to live with. So when you get one of these eureka moments, I know quite a few people with anxiety, it's sort of this crippling self-doubt. I mean, I get it in certain situations. I struggle in social settings, and I get it like that. I sort of second guess what people think in certain situations. But when I'm doing things with for myself, somebody comes along and says, try it like this, I don't immediately think, oh, that's awful, I've been doing it wrong all this time. My immediate thought is, that's a better way of doing it. This is really awesome, now I can do it better. And that is something that I just want you to bear that in mind. I know that I do talk quite a bit about mental health and depression in particular, because depression is something that has affected me personally, and it does. But anxiety is another thing. It's all there with mental health. And the big thing with mental health is that we're doing that thing with the grass again. The big thing with mental health is that it's got a lot of stigma with it. It's got a lot of problems with it, and it's bad enough having to deal with these things just on their own, without having anything else. But there's a lot of stuff with it that people constantly, oh, you just need to get over it, or just it's not that bad, or any one of these things, or it's all in your own head. Well, yeah, it is all in your own head. That's half the problem, Sunshine. It's in your head, and you don't want it to be in your head. You want it to get out of your head and leave you alone. But it doesn't. It won't. It just stays there, residing like some sort of little goblin, and it's not very nice. But if you break your leg, nobody comes along and says, oh, just get over it. It's all in your head. You're just imagining it. There's nothing actually wrong with you. It's fine. You just want to get past it. Just imagine that there's nothing wrong and you'll be fine. And 101 other little comments that people make that they don't realize just how damaging they are. They are damaging. Those kind of comments are damaging. If someone says they've got anxiety, then they've got anxiety. Whether you come along and say, no, you don't, or it's all in your head, or you just need to think positive, it's not going to change the fact that they have anxiety and they are filled with crippling self-doubt about just about every aspect of their own lives. You telling them to get over it is not going to help them get over it. It's going to make it a lot worse. It really does. It genuinely will make it worse. It will not help. It will not make it better. It just makes it worse. So don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't go and tell them to get over it. Because if you break your leg and you went into the hospital and the doctor said to you, well, it's just a broken leg. You need to get over it. It's fine. It's all in your head. You'd be a bit put out by that. You'd think, well, hang on a minute, sunshine. What's going on here? It's clearly there's an actual problem. And that's the thing that most people don't understand with any mental health problems, with depression, with anxiety. I don't know so much about anxiety, but it is something that does affect some people that I care about. And because it affects people I care about it. It's as simple as that. So I don't fully know what it's like with anxiety, but I do know that with depression, people are saying that it's all in your head. It is in your head. But it's actually a physical thing. There is a physical manifestation of depression. You have a certain level of chemicals that you need in your brain, and when you have depression, when you're suffering from depression, that chemical balance is not there. The chemical balance, it's all out of whack. There's no chemical balance, it's a chemical imbalance. You have the wrong chemicals being produced, and the right chemicals are not being produced at all, and it generally does cause issues. And that's why it causes issues, because the chemicals are not there where they should be. The right ones are not there, and the wrong ones are there, and basically your brain, you go up and down. You're never always happy, but you're never always sad either. And what your brain does is it releases different chemicals to balance these emotions out. And so when you're feeling down, it releases little drips of serotonin, which brings your mood levels back up again. And so your emotions, they move up and down in a gentle curve, right? Now, if you just, I want to show you this a second. Right. Have a look at this. Now, imagine that is a person that doesn't suffer from depression or anxiety. That's your mood curve. That's what it looks like. That's the sine wave of your moods, okay? It sort of does that. It's up and down, happy up here, sad down here. That's normal, right? Sometimes it'll be up here for a while, sometimes it'll be down here for a while. But that's pretty much what it is. Now, somebody who suffers from anxiety or depression, theirs is a little bit different. I'm not really sure about the anxiety one, so I'm not going to state what that one is. But someone who suffers from depression, that would be me. Mine is like this. This is me all the time, okay? It will never change. It's like that. Instead of like this, right, mine is like this. And it's up and down a lot more frequently than what yours is. Yours is gentle curves. Mine is like this, right? And it's like this all the time. That's just part of being me. That's just part of life inside my own head. That's fine. That's my reality. I know how to live with this, and I know how to deal with this, right? That bit is fine. This bit is not the issue. You may notice that people with depression, they're either down or they're up. There's very rarely any in between, and then that is the case pretty much. Either we're on top of the world, or we're just, go away. I do not want to speak to you. Imagine I've not had coffee and then multiply that by 30 million times. Go away, right? That's literally what we are. We're either on top of the world or go away and leave me alone. So, yeah, we could actually use the outlines here. That's my sine wave right there, my emotion wave, and that's what it does, right? Now, that's a physical manifestation. That's not in my head. That's not just a thing in my head. That's the physical manifestation of it. The level of chemicals in my body can easily be measured, and it will show that same curve like that. So that's what depression is on a normal day-to-day basis. The problem with depression is that sometimes it reaches the bottom of the wave, and then the brain is unable to release the correct chemicals to bring you back up again. And that's where the problem comes in, because it stays down. And if it stays down for any length of time, right, we're normally like this. Now, if it stays down for any length of time, and it goes beyond, like, you know, sometimes I'll have a down period where it'll stay down for a few waves, right? I could be down for a day or two. That's fairly normal procedure. You, as someone with depression, you recognize this sign and you take steps for whatever things that you do for yourself to correct that and start to bring it back up again. Okay, so everybody's got different techniques, but we need techniques in order to do that, because if it goes down and it stays down for too long, what happens is it goes down further and down, right? And if it starts to go down, you could call that there your safety line, there. So we're up and down, and we go right down to the safety line, and we come back up again, and down to the safety line. And the problem arises when it drops below the safety line, because then the brain really, really struggles to bring it back up without any outside assistance. Sometimes if it happens too often, you will usually go on to antidepressants. And what those do is they stop the lows. They bring it back, and when you're on antidepressants for any length of time, your wave is like this, right? Your wave settles in like this. Now, you don't have those terrifying lows, but you also don't have the highs either. You don't have either of them. It puts you in the middle. Your up and downs are even less than normal when you're on those. I speak from experience here. I don't like it. I didn't like that at all. I took them until I was back up above the safe point, but then I came off them because I didn't like not having this. I need this in my life. This is part of me. This bit up here, this is part of me. This is what I use for making my videos. And a lot of YouTubers have talked about this, and it is talked about quite a lot with, like, all over. I've seen loads of YouTubers talking about this. The fact that they suffer from depression. And the thing about the depression is that we as YouTubers, and it's not just YouTubers, we're entertainers. That's what we do. We're presenters, entertainers. It's our job to entertain. And people who are public figures, entertainers on the TV, that sort of thing, comedians, a lot of them suffer from it as well. A lot of them have depression, and it's not always a bad thing. It's learning to control it. So it's not always a terrible thing. The thing about it is that you learn to utilize it. You learn to use it so that you can be the presenter. So I can bring on the high so that then I can do my videos. And I can... Sometimes the high goes really high, and my videos, you know, I like to think that the videos become much better quality. If I try and do a recording when I'm down, the videos are terrible. They're absolutely awful. I don't record when I'm down. I just don't do it. But so many YouTubers do this same thing. They actually use the depression, and they use that as part of their recording techniques, and they push themselves into a high, and then they use that to make the videos, and it makes the videos more watchable, it makes them more enjoyable, and you can really, really get into it. And that's a real positive about it. The downside is when you are down and you get below a point and the brain can't bring you up, you've got to get help. And this is the thing, and this is the bit that most people don't realize, is that you've got to have external help. It's like a broken leg. You can go along and you can sprain your ankle and you can deal with it yourself. You can go along and you can twist your leg. You can deal with it yourself. You can pull a muscle. You can deal with it yourself. You break your leg. You get below that point where you kind of basically able to operate safely, and suddenly everything's gone horribly wrong. Right? You've then reached a point where you can't do anything anymore. You can't, right? You can't suddenly magically fix your leg yourself. You've got to have someone help you. You've got to have someone help splint your leg and put it right. Right? It's very difficult to, like, if you've got a badly broken leg, you can't pull that bone out and set it straight on your own. You need to have some help. And it's exactly the same with mental health, because your brain has physically been unable to produce the right cocktail of chemicals that you need in order to be able to stay alive, in order to be able to function as a normal member of society in any way, shape or form. And there's no shame in that. It's a physical thing. There is absolutely no shame in it. And this is one of the reasons I talk about it a lot. And I know I talk about it a lot. And I will continue to talk about it. Because I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I talk about the fact that I have hypermobility. I'm not able to sit in the same position for very long, which is why I'm not able to use a steering wheel for great lengths of time. For exactly this, you know, that's a physical thing. It's a physical thing, and that's that. It's exactly the same with anything to do with mental health. It's a physical thing. Anxiety is also a physical thing. I don't know about the chemical balances on that, and it's something that I'm going to be researching a bit more, because I should know a bit more. I feel that I should know a bit more about it, because I know people who suffer from this, and maybe if I know a bit more about it, I might be able to help them a little bit more. But it's that physical manifestation of these problems. The symptoms of the anxiety or the depression that I have, the physical side of it is the fact that your brain's got a chemical imbalance. Yeah, I can't see it. You can't see it. Walk down the street and nobody could just look at you and, oh, look, he's got depression. They look at you and say, oh, look, he's got a broken leg because you've got this big cast on your leg, or you're limping. So, yeah, they might yell, oi, hop along, how are you doing? That's great, but you can't see that someone's got depression. And this is something that a lot of people, they don't pick. There is a lot of signs, and you can pick up on whether someone is suffering from it. And it's not recognizing the lows. I mean, people are always on the lookout. You know, more and more of these, I say always, more and more people are on the lookout for someone who's like really down and can't focus on stuff and things like that. But it's not just recognizing that. It's also recognizing someone's highs as well, because you don't get those highs without the lows that go with it, and that's something that people are now beginning to realize. Like the guy from, is it Linkin Park, I think it was, the lead singer from Linkin Park. The last video was the night before he sadly took his own life, and he was there with his friends. He was laughing, he was joking, he was the absolute life and soul of the party. And they said, but he was often like that. He was on a high. He was using his highs, and it, you know, I don't know very much the details of that, but I do know that he was on a high when it happened, and unfortunately, it wasn't picked up on. He didn't get the help that he needed, and those highs can very, very quickly turn around into a low. It's a snap of a finger. One word from one person can be enough to just switch it over. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to feel bad about that. It's not the fault of the person who says the word. The person who has depression, they know that. I have that all the time. One word from one person can completely alter my frame of mind in no time at all. And it is a thing. It's quite a big thing. And it does. It completely turns my mood around. Like you wouldn't believe, it's genuinely quite surprising just how much it can affect your mood. Now, I'm just wondering here if we have run out of time. I've gone on too long today. So, yeah. Anxiety. And I don't even remember why I started talking about it. I then got sidetracked and talked about that instead. I don't think I've hurt anything by talking about... Oh, it was because of the whole self-doubt thing. The thing with the anxiety is that if you get told that you've been doing something wrong, or you get shown a way to improve how you do something, someone with anxiety will make the assumption, this is really bad because it means I've been doing it wrong for however long. And obviously, when someone comes along and says, if you do it like this, it's a better way, they don't think, oh, you're an idiot because you've been doing it wrong. They think, well, most people think, I'm really pleased I was able to help this person find a better way to do it. That's generally what most people think. Yeah, you do get some people that, quite frankly, I don't think are very nice. I'm not going to do any more than that. We're just going to leave these little bits. I think we've done enough messing around with baling and so on, and we've got a full baler. I know there's a little bit of grass over there. We'll leave that for next time as well. So we'll pick that. Nope. I need to change over to the baler on the back, and I can pick that one up and do that, and then I can empty out the 2 bales like that, and we can head back off to the yard. So I have run out of time. I did get a little bit carried away with my little talk. I do tend to do that. It's something I'm passionate about, because I know what it's like. I'm there. This is the sort of thing that I... Oh! I say we don't need to worry about the grass. We've still got all this grass to bale up. We'll have to bale up this grass next time. We'll do that next time. So anyway, if you've enjoyed the episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.